This is the continual evolution of the East Coast beat. It is the beginning of 100-degree days. Yesterday, or was it the last 2 days? But I think the last 2 days have been topping over 100 degrees as the high. And today was supposed to be over 100 degrees as the high. This is what I wore. Well, actually, I had a gray one on earlier, and then when the night came around, I kind of freshened up a little bit and put on this. And the reason why I was able to do that was because I did laundry. And that was the question I had asked myself today. By the time I actually got around to having my laundry bag packed and everything ready to go, it was a cool, 99, 101 degrees. And I could take the bus, which would cut about most of the trip off, and then I would only have to walk like 300 yards, to the laundromat, or about 150, 200 yards to the laundromat. Or I would just what I figured I would probably end up doing was just walking because I didn't want to wait for the bus. So, but I questioned myself because my grandmother actually passed due to heat exhaustion. She wanted something done. She was asking her 40-year-old sons to do it, and they kept telling her it's too hot, wait until it cools down. So she decided to do it herself, and she passed away. It was like one of those 90-degree, 90% humidity, and my grandmother had to have something done, and all the people half her age kept telling her it's too hot. I'll do it, but wait till it cools down. So the question I asked myself today was, do I go to the laundromat at 2:30 in the afternoon when it's 98 or 99 or 100 degrees, or do I wait until 6 o'clock in the morning when it's going to be 70, 80? You know what I'm saying? Because uh, do I want to put that much stress on my body? But then, how will I adapt for the how can I adapt to the coming summer? How can I adapt for the coming summer if I stay inside in the AC all the time? I don't have a car, so basically I would have to leave my have everything done before 10 or 11 o'clock, and then wait until 8 o'clock at night to leave again. Do what I have to do, which, I mean, realistically I guess I could do. But I was like, look, it's 2:30 in the afternoon. Just you know, I hear the maintenance men um, weed eating and jet blowing the courtyard. So I look outside and I see this one guy. He comes out and he's 10 years, maybe 10, 15 years younger than me. And then another guy comes out and he's probably maybe 5, 10 years younger than me. You know what I'm saying? And it's like I said, it's probably like 100 degrees, and they're wearing jeans and boots and long sleeves and hats and because they're yard workers. And I said, you know what? If those guys can dress like that, do this kind of work in the heat, I can get my laundry done. So that's what I did. I got up, grabbed my laundry, went outside. that I could have caught. If I had waited 23 minutes, I could have caught the bus. But I was like, you know what? In 23 minutes, I'll already be at the laundromat, like way for sure. So I just walked it there, and then when I came back, I caught the bus back. And but that was the question of the day was, you know, I don't treat myself as hard as I used to. You know what I'm saying? But I don't want to get soft. You know, so like I'm not hitting heavy bags anymore. I'm not, working on my side kicks or my roundhouses or my jumping roundhouses or, I'm not throwing knees and elbows, while listening to, Primus or Pantera, you know what I'm saying? In a gym with a bunch of 20-year-olds, you know what I'm saying? I don't do that anymore. But I don't want to get soft. Like I said, I have certain limitations, and I just don't want them to get the best of me. So, what can be done? I think half, I think half my problems are because I raised my fist in the sky and cursed life. You know what I'm saying? But I mean, it's so beautiful, but yet I can curse it so easily, and that's something that I ask for help with. So I take what I get. You know what I'm saying? Um, for those that understand, I've been in certain parts of the world where the stars are different. I've looked up at the sky and I don't pray for myself. I pray for others. But if there was a reason to, I would have prayed, under that sky for sure. You know what I'm saying? Um, so, like I said, the question of the day was, hey, at 51, do I walk out on 100 plus degree day? Do I walk to the nearest laundromat? Or, it's like, first of all, do I even leave the apartment? Of course, I'm going to leave the apartment. I left the apartment. Well, do I wait 23 minutes for a bus or do I walk it? Well, I ended up walking it. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, okay, well then, and then I ended up getting some pizza and a soda, and a slice of pizza and a soda while I did my laundry. Um, but that was the whole question of the day. I'm not that old. I'm not done yet. You know what I'm saying? So I got my laundry done, and that's why I have this nice white shirt. And, but yeah, it's hot in the valley. And what can I say? It's hot in the valley. Pretty girls with their white thighs and their summer shorts almost turned my head. But I'm just looking for a spot in the shade to sit and roll my spliff, smoke, think older thoughts than I am, come to older realizations, be reborn again, um, understanding myself, understanding my younger self, so that I could have empathy and sympathy, compassion, and even pity towards others. Because at my age, I can look back on some of the things I've done and I feel both sides. Yes, I'll defend it because I did it, but at the same time, if I could have chosen would I have done it, I don't know. You know, I still don't know. If I would have chose not to do it, at this point in my life, would I consider that a win? Probably, you know what I'm saying? There's certain things that I've done and experienced and spent money on that I probably didn't have to do. But it was just so long between sunrises. so many miles walking solo through strip malls and outlet shops and air conditioned department stores, spending money just on pretty things because that's what I felt my life needed at the time. Something pretty. You know what I'm saying? Pretty shirt, pretty car, pretty haircut. I just felt, you know. So that's how I spent my days at times, spending money, trying to make life abundantly beautiful. Here comes a helicopter. I was trying to make life abundantly beautiful, but what I was trying to build a beautiful nest. But what I wanted was the company. But what I wanted more than that was to know that I was secure and stable enough to actually take care of myself and somebody else in this crazy world. That's what I truly wanted. To know that I was handling it and that somebody else, that I could handle it enough to where me and somebody else could make it through, you know? It's like I used to write this story called uh, We Were the 37th, and it was about a light cavalry unit. And this light cavalry unit gets sent out, and, there's conspiracy stuff behind this all stuff, not real conspiracy, but just general. It's like this light cavalry unit goes out to make contact, and one of the first things that they do is they have one of the scouts get off the vehicle and walk to a certain part in the sand. And then he holds up the ceremonial dagger, and then someone from the armored vehicle shoots him. And because he didn't know he was going to really get shot. I mean, you know what I'm saying? He thought he was just holding it out in the desert and like the gate was supposed to open, but there has to be a blood sacrifice to open the gate. So this private or whoever holds up this dagger, and that's the whole thing. The dagger is supposed to draw blood, but someone shoots the private from the armored car, and then that opens up the gate. And that's why they're called We Were the 37th, because they didn't know. I mean, there are people within the regiment, because they moved as a bigger group, like not one of these 2-man special teams or 5-man special. It was like 250 people. You know what I'm saying? And so some people were on the end, and the end was part of the end was we have to blood sacrifice. So they did that off of an armored vehicle while the rest of the people were still behind. So not everybody even saw that. So not everybody is aware that they would kill one of their own to start to open this portal to talk to this other being, and that's what they were reconning. They were gathering information from another being that, existed out in this, span of the desert that could only be opened as as like a wormhole or a portal. It could only be opened by spilling blood with the ceremonial dagger. You know what I'm saying? And so but so that was the story, and that's why they were called We Were the 37th, because not all of them knew. Some of them didn't know what the enemy. Some of them, like I said, when I was in the cavalry unit, I was a field cook. So I was in the kitchen when we were back in the garrison, and everybody was working on their tanks and their Bradleys and all that other stuff. I was working in the kitchen. I had cook whites, I had apron, spatula, I had the whole bit. Um, but when we went out to the field, we worked in a field kitchen, and that was some hard ass work. I felt it was, because we put in a lot of hours. And so in the field, I was a field cook, and sometimes we would drive trucks and stuff like that. But I mean, I didn't know how close the enemy was, or because we played war games, and every now and then they'd come through and they'd tell us, "Oh, full alert, the enemy's supposed to attack tonight," and we'd have to have our guns with they had blank bullet. The bullets were blanks, but it would make the gun recoil, which would fire a laser, and then we had receptors on our helmet and on our vests, and if that got hit by a laser, that meant you got shot by a bullet. You know what I'm saying? So then it would start beeping, and then in order for it to stop beeping, one of the it was usually U.S. Army, that was observing the war games would have to come over, and then you'd become a casualty, and they'd have to evac you. And that was the thing. Normally I was cooking, but I was also a truck driver, so once or twice I did the evac. And that's just how that works. As a cavalry unit member, I didn't know. Like, I remember one time I was with Supply, and Supply drives trucks. And that's why I was with them, was because I drove trucks for the cooks, but I wasn't the truck driver for battalion. I was a battalion truck driver, but I drove trucks for the cooks. And I was stationed with the Supply, which is our truck drivers. And I was temporarily assigned to Supply. And one day we're sitting in a room, and they're going through pictures of threat or no threat, and I didn't know. I don't know what a Russian mechanized infantry carrier looks like, or a Russian anti-aircraft tank looks like, or what a Russian BMP or whatever they're called. Like, I have an idea, but between that and a German version, which is our allies, and between the Polish, which is our allies, they look a lot like this. They look a lot. I don't know. And like I said, my job was to cook. That was my primary military occupational skill, you know. So I couldn't tell you if it was a Russian or a Czechoslovakian or a French, mechanized. I could tell you it was if I thought it was a mechanized infantry carrier, I could tell you that, but I couldn't tell you what country it was from. And so as a cavalryman, I was pretty blind to what the actual cavalry was really doing, because I had a job. My job was to feed them, which meant from 3:30 in the morning to 11 to 11:30 at night, we were busy. We were I was on the kitchen. You know what I'm saying? We were cooking or cleaning. And then if we weren't doing that, we were pulling guard duty or driving our trucks, you know? So like I said, that's how I was when I was younger. And then when I went to the desert, I remember, like, oh shit, like I'm gonna hate this heat, but I got used to it. And same thing like today at 51. Oh, I don't know if I should go out in the heat. Well, how am I gonna get used to it if I don't go out? That's why at a certain time at night, after the sun goes down, I'll turn the AC off and open up windows and just try to get a natural breeze and chill in here. I have been sleeping in the AC at night though, because then my room does not cool down just because you open up a window and turn on a fan. So I have been sleeping in the AC, but I set it at like 76, and then if it hits 76, it's supposed to just blow as a fan, and then I'll sleep through the night. You know what I'm saying? Um, but that's the whole thing. Like I said, the question of the day: am I getting too old? No, not right now. Like I said, am I getting too old? Just drop and do 20 push-ups, yeah, I think my body's past that point. No more jumping jacks, no more side kicks. Like, I think I'm at that point. I have to be realistic with that. Is there a miracle cure out there if they would inject stem cells in me? Yeah, but my insurance plan does not cover stem cells. So I have to be more realistic. You know what I'm saying? My plans are to make my appointment. I got a psych appointment, and then I got a dentist appointment, and then on Friday I'm supposed to meet my friend at the clubhouse, and we're supposed to go buy some Kool-Aid packets, and while we're gonna dye these white shirts. I bought three of these, and I have two gray ones, light gray ones. So I'm gonna dye my shirts tie dye with Kool-Aid packets. My friend was the one that came up with the idea to use the Kool-Aid. I was the one that I wanted to use like Rit dye from Walmart or places like that. But she said we could even just use Kool-Aid packets, and I was like, oh yeah, because I remember back in the day, girls used to dye their hair with Kool-Aid. So why not? I'll make a couple tie dyes out of Kool-Aid. you know. So that's what I got planned in my life right now. You know what I'm saying? I mean, realistically, what can be done? It's hot in the city. I'm 51 years old. I walk with a limp. I can't use half of my left hand. No more, parkour in the streets for me. No more jumping off, not that ever was any good at it, but I've given it a little try. I'm not any no good at it at all, honestly. But like I said, I've balanced on things where I could, if I would have ate shit, it would have sucked. You know what I'm saying? If I would have lost my balance or lost my footing, yeah, it would have sucked. You know what I'm saying? So, but I've never done like I don't have I never did the hardcore stuff because I've always had problems with my knees. Like I said, I could have stayed in the army longer. I could have went infantry, but eventually all that weight on my knees, walking miles and miles, I wouldn't have been able to. It would have damaged me more. Like I said, one of the things about the cook video that they showed me that I liked so much, they showed me stuff like being in your cook whites. They showed a picture of this guy that had like this 3 foot stack of vegetables and this big, huge butcher's knife and a cutting board. And then they showed the field, and these guys were lighting a fire in this burner, and they were carrying it into the tent, and it's like, oh, the kitchen's hidden behind the camouflage. Like, oh shit, we're legit, like field cooks, you know what I'm saying? And I thought it was a cool video, but like I said, there was no uh, carrying logs on the beach. There was no video of running miles up mountain hills with big ass backpacks. So I chose that, like I said. Um, when I was young, the doctors told me I had juvenile arthritis. So I wanted to be a soldier, and I couldn't burn myself out. I didn't want to jump out of an airplane and just completely disable myself in the attempt to be a paratrooper. Would it have been cool to be airborne? Hell yeah. Even an airborne field cook, that would have been awesome. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's how cool I was. I was airborne field, bro. We jumped off of an airplane with our shit. Like when we hit the ground, we just built up a perimeter and set up camp. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm like, oh yeah, I showed up with tanks and Bradleys and fucking I showed up with the kitchen sink. We made fucking biscuits and gravy. but I still felt like a soldier. And like I said, maybe it's that part of me that, even with arthritis, joining the military and hoping I could make it through, it's that part of me that does the same today. Okay, well, hey, just instead of waiting 20 minutes for the bus, which you're probably just going to want to go back to your apartment and sit in the AC anyways, and then you're going to miss the bus, it's like, just walk it. Just walk to the, and catch the bus back, So that's how it was today. And, same thing, I'm going to brush my teeth and I'm going to take a shower and I'm going to wash my feet and I'm going to keep doing all this stuff and I'm going to try to eat like, well, healthy, but sometimes you have to enjoy your food. Uh, I just bought a Polish kielbasa sausage, sauerkraut, and I have potatoes. So I think I'm trying to figure out. Tomorrow I'm gonna cook the sausage. I'm gonna cut up and I'm gonna boil it in the sauerkraut, and then I'm gonna fry the potatoes on the side. And I was just thinking whether or not I should add eggs or not. I was even considering peppers to the potatoes, but no, that's cool because I have sauerkraut with the sausage. You know what I'm saying? So that's, hey, like I said, 51 years old. I eat lentils, not all the time, but I eat lentils and I eat split pea. I do put that in my diet. Maybe I should try more oatmeal. I don't know. But, I don't always eat fried fatty foods. You know what I'm saying? But I do have a budget. You know what I'm saying? So I have to work within my budget. But hey, I get by, you know what I'm saying? And like I said, I use spices and herbs, and what can I say? Life is fucking, it's good that way. I mean, this body's only designed to take us through the story. It's not designed to last forever. And then maybe the next person behind us that rides the body, maybe they get to make different decisions, or maybe it's the same thing for them too. Like I said, maybe our life is a lesson that we learn by living it. You know what I'm saying? I can understand that. I can see that. In the continual evolution of the East Coast beat, we will not be denied.